Well, hello again, everyone. This is Sheepdog Smokey, and welcome to another video. This one actually has a few things that I'm going to be looking at, so it may be a little longer than normal. But we have a Democratic lawmaker introducing an amendment to lower the voting age to 16 in federal elections. We have Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts introducing an amendment to the House Election Reform Bill that would lower the voting age from 18 to 16 in federal elections. She says, I am honored and excited to be introducing my very first amendment on the House floor, an amendment to H.R. 1, the For the People Act. Pressley, a first-term congresswoman who represents the 7th Congressional District in Massachusetts, said on Twitter, my amendment will lower the voting age from 18 to 16, allowing our youth to have a seat at the table of democracy. Pressley argued in a succession of tweets that citizens who are 16 and 17 make substantial contributions to America's labor force and their local economy through paying taxes. Now, granted, I've not been under 18 for 31 or 33 years. No, sorry, 23 years. But I remember marking that I'm exempt from federal income tax every year I filed until I was 18. I remember the year I turned 18 having to actually have some help because I was exempt for some time but not other time in the year. I didn't pay taxes. You took money out of my check, but I got it all back. I gave the government an interest-free loan while I was working. I paid sales tax and I paid gasoline tax. That was it. We have the hashtag, did you know, in 2018, nearly 2 million young people between the ages of 16 and 17 were employed, contributing to the labor force and their local economy through paying taxes. Again, yeah, they paid them and they got them all back. Then we have 49 years ago, Senator Ted Kennedy, this would have been 1970, argued before his colleagues in favor of lowering the voting age as an effort to bring our youth into full and lasting participation in our institutions of democratic government. Across this nation, young people are leading the way from gun violence to climate change to the future of work. They're organizing, mobilizing, and calling us into action, Pressley said in a statement. They're also licking toilets and eating Tide Pods. Her amendment would require states to permit an individual to register to vote or vote in an election for federal office held in the state on the grounds of the individual's age if the individual will be at least 16 years of age on the date of the election. The amendment is part of a sweeping anti-corruption and voting rights bill known as H.R. 1 that Democrats in the House are expected to pass this week. The measure, among other things, aims to expand voting rights by creating automatic voter registration and making Election Day a national holiday for federal workers. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican Kentucky, has said the bill would not be brought to the floor for a vote in the upper chamber. Lowering the voting age requirement to 16 has gained increasing support in states and cities around the nation. Democratic state lawmakers in Oregon introduced legislation to lower the state's voting age last month. Now, I don't know about you, but Oregon can do what they want for their state and local elections, but they better have a separate ballot for those people under the age of 18, because according to the United States Constitution, the 26th Amendment, the right of citizens of the United States who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. The Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Now, of course, this here shows the futility of Representative Pressley's amendment. She can propose it to H.R. 1 all she wants, but it takes a constitutional amendment to change what the 26th already states is law. And then it takes 3/4 of of all 50 states, that being 38, to ratify said amendment. And I'm sorry, Representative Pressley, you're not going to get very far with that. Because one, the Senate will not even vote on it. And then two, it will be challenged if they ever do and if it manages to pass. And it will get to the Supreme Court where someone simply has to say, Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Gorsuch, or whoever else they're arguing to, The 26th Amendment to the United States Constitution clearly states the voting age is 18. This amendment was not passed as an amendment to the Constitution. It was passed simply as a bill in the House, and therefore is unconstitutional. And that's really all that has to be done. Now, along the lines of supposedly fighting voter fraud and voter problems, we have Senator Cory Booker. And that is not the article I wanted. That would be another one. But Senator Cory Booker, the person with the most votes, should be president. Senator Cory Booker, Democrat from New Jersey, said Wednesday that he believes the person who receives the most votes should win the presidency. In a presidential election, the person with the most votes should be the President of the United States. Booker, who is running for president, said in a response to a question about reforming the Electoral College during a CNN town hall. But we have to win the next election under the rules that are there now, he added. At least Spartacus is acknowledging he can't just magically make himself president. Several Democratic 2020 candidates have come out in favor of overhauling or doing away with the Electoral College. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts, called for abolishing the Electoral College during her own CNN town hall, stating that every vote matters. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, a fellow Democratic presidential candidate, how many of them are there now, has also called for getting rid of the Electoral College, saying earlier this year that it has made the U.S. less and less democratic. We're not a democracy, Pete. Senator Bernie Sanders, independent Vermont, who is also seeking the Democratic nomination, that's 4 in one article, called for a reassessment of the Electoral College in 2016 after then Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton lost the presidential election despite winning the national popular vote by just under 3 million votes. Now let's take a look at the Electoral College as it stands now. And we're actually going to zoom a bit here so that we can see the whole thing. The current argument is that the Electoral College somehow disenfranchises people in larger states by letting a smaller state take away some of their ability to control things. But if you look, it would take Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana to simply equal California, although it would actually give the candidate 1 extra vote. So 4 states are required to defeat California. When you look at this, it is not putting states like Delaware or New Jersey on par with larger states. If you look at this and you actually look at it using logic and clear thought, this is how many House members each state has. Of course, these states also argue that they should have more representation in the Senate than smaller states because they can't stand that they're not able to just control everything. This does truly equalize things. It gives proportional representation based on population. So Ohio, which is a more populous state than Indiana, has more votes than Indiana. Now, the problem is that Democrats right now see that they cannot win the federal election because they can't negate much of what they call flyover country. They know they'll not win Texas for many years to come. Yeah, we're becoming more and more purple in local elections especially, and in some counties, but as a state, we're still solidly red. California's in no danger of going purple at the time being because of illegal immigrant voters. So they campaign heavily for a change to the rules. And as I said with Representative Pressley on her change to voting age, you can't just magically do this. And honestly, Senator Booker, it wouldn't matter if you win the presidency or not. You can't just change the Constitution. It requires that the House introduce an amendment to the Constitution, which then must pass both houses by a two-third majority. That being the equivalent of 34 states, 2/3. Then once it passes both houses by that 2/3 majority, basically the supermajority, it is then sent to all 50 states, 38 of which must ratify before it is taken as a change. Now, if you look at this, I count 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 blue states. So, Hawaii, California, Oregon, Washington, New Mexico, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Vermont, and Maine will jump onto the yes, let's take control of the country bandwagon. The others who see this for what it is, see this for we want the coastal elites controlling the country, will vote no. And the amendment will fail in the ratification. And Democrats will cry and whine and complain about the supposed tyranny of the minority, when it is actually a majority of the states that said no, not a minority. There is no reason that California should be able to outvote simply because they are the most populous state 20 other states. But if you look at it, they almost can. If you look at just Arizona, Nevada, Utah, that's 17. Colorado makes it 25. Montana, Wyoming make it 31, 35 with Idaho, 41 with the Dakotas, 46 with Nebraska, 52 with Kansas, 56 with New Hampshire. So they can almost outvote all of those states. I personally don't like that, but that's the way the system is set up, and it actually is fair. What they're fighting for with this is also what they're fighting against in the United States census change, where the question of citizenship has not been asked for many years. A census should ask about citizenship. This is not Gestapo tactics of stopping people at the border and saying, papers, please. You're not going to see jackbooted thugs knocking down doors to demand, are you a citizen? And if you say no, being dragged into the streets and put on a train. These will be underpaid federal workers, some of them volunteers, canvassing neighborhoods and asking the question. And honestly, even if it passes, those who are sent to do this in California will probably just tick yes on every box. Yes, they're all citizens. We don't have any illegal aliens, except Zarate, who killed Kate Steinle, and the other one who killed Corporal Singh, and the one who laughed and said he wants to kill all cops, and the ones that the mayor in Southern California warned that ICE was coming, and so on and so forth. They're worried on two fronts, that if we know that California is allowing illegals to vote, that they might be punished for violating federal law. They're worried that as more and more people realize the Democratic Party is the party of give us your money, obey us, or we destroy you, that they're going to vote Republican. Blexit and the Jexodus are ample examples of people realizing the Democratic Party cares nothing for the people. It is party über alles, party over everything. And as more people realize it, these numbers, which was 2,000, will change more and more toward the red. As people like Mazie Hirono tell men, shut up, and more, we're going to see these numbers change. Pardon me. But that's just my opinion. Granted, my opinion is formed after many years of reading and studying United States history, world history, our Constitution, forms of government, why ours is as it is. But I want to hear yours. Leave a comment below. Keep it classy and civil so that we can actually have a debate, not an argument. I don't engage once you lose the civility of it. Make sure to like and subscribe so you stay up to date on all of my content. I will be looking to do other things shortly. Pardon me. One of them being actually teaching history as I would were I employed by a school district. I'm working on my syllabus now because I'm going to treat this as if I were actually standing in front of a class and lecturing, as opposed to sitting in an office where you can see my room behind me. But it will be the same class I would be teaching were I employed in a school. So you'll want to make sure to keep up with all of that. Also, make sure and check the description. You'll find an email address where you can suggest content for anyone that I do use. You have the opportunity to receive a free pocket constitution, something I think everyone should have. So again, make sure to like and subscribe so you stay up to date, and I will see you next time.